hashtag space is fake is something I'm investigating for my next hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm for legitimately looking deep into people
flat
that
there's
flat
so much
earthers
material
mock
there.
them.
There's
Flat
so-
Earth is like, what? Space is fake. What?
No.
You dumb
You
motherfucker.
flat earthers like,
flat
bro,
earthers walk
chill.
away
No,
from
it's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
You got it all wrong. You got it all wrong.
Is
Well,
everybody
Eddie,
that
I've
believes
got to
the flat-
think this is not
everybody-
very organized.
No, what I'm saying is
I got to think I
everybody that
couldn't have it
thinks-
all wrong.
No,
There's
everybody,
no way.
anybody that thinks the Earth is flat, they totally don't believe what we're taught about what's above us. So when
the
people
sun?
say space
Wait a
is
minute.
fake, they
What about the
mean-
sun?
They mean all the information we're getting. You're lying about that shit. That it's not that it doesn't exist. Of course it exists. We see
Right,
it.
of course.
But space is fake sounds ridiculous. Like
There's something
we're
up
looking
there.
at it and it's fake. That's ridiculous. That's
just
not what
the
it means. It
Truman
means
Show.
that all the information we got about all
We're
those
off.
lights in the sky.
Yeah, something else?
They're lying
NASA's
to
lying?
us. They're lying to us.
Why would NASA lie?
And there's a reason,
Well,
and
why
I can sit
wouldn't
here
they,
and tell you,
Brian?
but you guys don't want to hear it.
Hold on.
Couldn't they?
So I don't want to talk
Can you give
about
us the cliff notes?
it. The cliff notes are man.
Have you studied any kind of a...
He doesn't need to,
from-
B. Let's hear just a few of it.
The goal has always been for the most powerful emperors is a one world government. They always wanted a one world government. All the Roman emperors, they try to figure out, they try to do different combinations. How about and they would fall, and a new emperor would come and go, you know what? I'm gonna fucking rule
World
the world
domination, in other words.
Aztecs.
I'm not gonna let my soldiers get married. That way we'll have a stronger army. They have different philosophies. Everyone believed different shit. But they all wanted a one world government. There's no way to have a fucking one world government. Nobody's into that shit.
Right.
Not even other rulers from small countries are like, one world government, that's gonna put me out of a job. Fuck your one world government. People that don't know shit about politics don't want a one world government. There's no way you're gonna sell a one world government. It's impossible. The only way to make a one world government work is to have the people embrace it. They have to want it because nobody wants it. So the trick is to make people want it, to embrace it. There's only one way.
I gotta pee.
There's only
Hold
one
on,
way.
Joe, this is very
You're gonna
important.
miss
I've
out
heard
on
this. I know this. I know this.
Okay, I don't know
The
that.
only way, and they've known this forever. The Vatican knew this. The Vatican, the Pope wanted to rule the world. They all knew it, but they couldn't do it. They all knew it, but they knew one way, but there's no way how they're
What's
going to
the
pull it
one
off.
way, man?
The only way is if there was some extraterrestrial threat from up above us. That would be the only way to have everyone embrace the one world government. They all knew that for years.
But it didn't work
That's
so
the
far.
plan. They could never
It's a
make
shitty
it work.
plan, though.
They didn't have the technology 500 years ago. The Vatican knew about it. They wanted it. And you go to the Vatican, you see paintings of like
Have you been there?
UFOs with aliens in them. And back when I used to believe in UFOs, but before I figured out that UFOs they want us to believe in UFOs. They're preparing us for a fake alien invasion. That's always been the plan. A one world government. The only way to
freak
do
out.
it is to get us to embrace it. And the only way to embrace it is from an alien attack. Ronald Reagan talked about it many times at the UN, CFR. He talked about it because wouldn't it make, he looked at all the leaders of the nation, of the world, and said, wouldn't it make our lives easier if we just had some kind of extraterrestrial threat? He said that shit. He said that in front of the UN.
Like, there's no one who's been arrested that she sex trafficked to.
And that's what Aaron's saying.
Well, there's a list that's out. Who knows if it's fake? I don't know. It could be a fake list. Who knows?
that poor fucking handicapped man.
But Chris Tucker's on that list, and they asked Chris Tucker on a podcast, "What's up with you being on the list?" He didn't do what Jimmy Kimmel said. Jimmy Kimmel said it's a fake list. Who cares what that list says? It's fake.
Right.
Chris Tucker goes, "Yeah, I did go on that flight, but we went to Africa, and I went with a bunch of diplomats. I didn't know who this fucking Epstein guy was." Like Chris Tucker says, like, I had no idea. We were on this plane. We were going to Africa, do some diplomatic shit, and turns out he's a pedophile. I didn't know.
Well, they definitely got people connected to him by using famous people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, like,
my
if
point
you
was,
find out-
was, Chris Tucker basically confirmed that the list was like legit because he's on it.
Right. There's this dude that was inviting me to this conference once, and he was like, Kanye West is going to be there. I'm like, oh, Kanye West is going to be there. Next thing you know, you're there, right?
Yes.
And if you don't know who's there, and some dude. This was just a conference. It was like a tech conference. And they wanted me to come and talk about like the influence of social media and podcasting and shit. I was like, I talk about that all the time. What am I going to go there? But point is, they were trying to lure me by saying that some famous dude I know was going to be there. So if you hear like, oh my God, Richard Dawkins is going to be there.
You think it's safe?
Yeah, all these famous people are going to be there. World leaders are going to be there.
What was Stephen Hawkins doing on that list so much?
Stephen Hawkins was a freak. He used to go to strip clubs.
Really?
Yeah, because he could feel, but he couldn't move. You know who told me about that? Eric Weinstein. Weinstein told me about that back in the day. He would go to like swingers clubs. And he would lay there, and they all gyrate on him.
Sick.
Because it probably felt good, and he can't move, but he could feel. He had Lou Gehrig's disease, so his body just.
Their dicks still get hard though.
I bet. I mean, he's not stupid. He's smart as shit. He just can't move.
It's crazy because to go to the effort to blackmail Stephen Hawking.
Well,
like, easy that would be if like
Yeah.
you really want to blackmail
I don't know if that's
a dude.
what they were doing.
He had a bunch of handlers though.
But you know what I'm saying? How easy the guy's in a wheelchair, he can't even
Yeah,
move.
but you gotta
could
think
put him
of
in
it
any
as-
situation,
right.
And what is he gonna do?
Right.
Say stop? Like we're gonna wheel you in. You're on this island now. Like
Now you have to think of it in terms of a long picture. Like, what is the picture? If you have esteemed scientists, Nobel laureates, scholars, all these different world leaders, bankers, famous singers, famous actors, they're all there. So that's the way you get people to do it. You invite people to this immense, lavish celebration that with intellectual world leaders, geniuses. And you think, well, how could it be bad if all these geniuses are there?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you're doing yayo, and you got some girl from some Eastern Bloc country that's rubbing your and you don't know that she's 16, and she takes you in a room, and that room is filled with cameras. That's what they did.
blackmail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
That's
think
what it's all about.
We're probably facing the effects of that right now. I bet there's decisions that were made. There's influence that got moved around. There's people that supported a certain narrative because they were on that list.
Wasn't
has to
that what I was saying all day today?
Has to be.
I think everything that's going on right now in the world is linked to Jeffrey Epstein. That's what I think. I think
Everything?
I think everything.
Maui?
Trump shit, everything.
Everything.
Everything?
Who's
UFOs?
connected? I don't know.
Gaza?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
look,
All of it. All
What?
of it.
since I met you, we've discussed UFOs. UFOs have been around. They've been talking about them since Jesus left Chicago.
Right.
But the last 3 fucking years, everybody's seeing fucking UFOs.
Yeah.
How about that Miami shit? Come on.
Miami.
Come on, dog.
The
Miami shit
people
was
who
good. Come
did
on,
coke
dog.
for 40 years.
Yeah.
That's what you saw. You didn't see no fucking aliens. But that's what they're selling all. Now people from the Navy.
It's a distraction.
All of a sudden, all these pilots. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going here and they were
so
driving
fake.
right next to me, waving
it's
at
so
me.
fake.
Really? And now you decide to fucking tell me.
This is what I think.
Tell me.
There's a lot of important people that were on that list, right?
Right.
A lot from all over the world.
Right.
Politics,
Music,
Hollywood, music,
actors.
You saw the list is out, dog. No ass right there.
physicists.
No
Chris
ass.
Tucker
Yeah.
pretty much said it was real.
Yep.
Not that everybody on the list did shit. Who knows? It would be easy to, like you said, drag. Like if in the 90s or in the 2000s, if people would have liked my music and I would have had a record deal, thank God nobody liked it.
And somebody said,
And someone
hey,
said,
you want to
let's
come
go
to the island?
Let's go to an island, dog. There's a billionaire. He's got a bunch of bitches that we're gonna party. I think I would have went, dog. I never looked into it. I just figured it was fake. But listening to you and Mel Gibson
Yeah.
talk about it, I'm like,
It's
what?
real?
Is there?
Well, apparently it's a lot older than they assumed when they did the first testing. And one of the problems is
Holy
that there's
shit.
cross-contamination. There's also been repairs to it. But they did subsequent testing, and they found that it was like 2,000 plus years old.
Yeah, and the one thing,
It's in
it's
the range.
it's the most studied artifact ever.
Damn.
Like particle physicists, nuclear engineers, they all studied it, and some of them, some believe in it, some don't believe in it, but they all agree on one thing: no one knows how they did it.
Right.
There's
No one knows how they
paint,
made it. It's
There's
not
no
paint.
paint. There's no
Yeah.
dye. So, dude, all this week, all day, I'm just watching documentary after podcast on this shit, and it's fucking mind blowing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
mind-blowing.
If it turns out that they can't figure out how anyone could ever do it, Like, if no one has come up with a theory of how to do that today,
Yeah.
that's where it gets really interesting.
There's this
because
new-
it wasn't paint and it wasn't dye and
They all agree on that.
Wasn't burned.
They all
in.
agree it's a mystery. But then the skeptics say, just because we don't know how it was done doesn't make it real, which is a good point. But then the other side's like, dude, all these scientists have no idea how they faked it. It's got to be real. So it's all about how you look at it.
I lean on the side be real.
There's a nuclear engineer.
that'll be the most fun.
There's a nuclear engineer. You can go on YouTube. His name is Robert Rucker. Watch his breakdown. This guy's a nuclear dude. He's breaking down the it's insane because it's a negative image on a non-photographic material. It's
Right.
linen.
Right.
And then it turns out, like if you look at it with the naked eye, it's white, and then you see the image of the face is kind of like yellow. You can barely see it. But in like 1898, some photographer took a picture of it and then looked at the negative, and then all of a sudden in the negative, the whole body appears, front and back, because he was buried like with
You see the images, Jamie?
he was buried with the sheet under him, and it went around his head. That's the
crazy.
back of him, because
Yeah. The right one's the back and the left one's the front. That's crazy.
no one knows how they did it.
And it
No,
even has,
no
like,
scientist.
the holes where the wrist would be nailed.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
that's wild.
That was the thing with Jesus. With me, it's very hard. It was always very hard to believe in Jesus. I'm like, dude, the resurrection, like that's a hard one to wrap your brain around, right? I could believe that he existed. I could believe that he got crucified. A lot of people got crucified, but the resurrection was always the thing that kept me from really believing in Jesus. I'm like, there's no way the resurrection was real.
But even if this is real, Eddie, it doesn't mean he was resurrected, right? It just means he was crucified and he was the actual real man.
No, the thing is how the image got on. The people that believe that it's real believe that when he was resurrected, some kind of ultraviolet radiation, some kind of burst made that image.
Gotcha.
That's because that image has never been on any other shroud. People get buried in shrouds all the time. There's never an image like that.
Pretty crazy.
And the crazy thing is the blood, there's no image under the blood. So the blood was there first, and then the image is after. It's crazy shit. Dude, I'm like, I went deep down a rabbit hole all week just watching the skeptics, the scientists, particle physicists. They have no idea how the fuck that image got on the front and back. The back of them too. They're like all alien. That they still think I'm the 2005 dude, where I'm all like balls deep in the aliens. They come in and go, "Fuck,
You've evolved.
Aliens have like been. We've evolved from aliens and the split, the whole Anunnaki story.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's hard for. They're so into it, and it's like, how do I tell this guy that I don't believe in this shit no more? It's like sometimes you know what? I had a guy the other night. I was just like, I'm not even gonna say nothing no more because yeah, it's fucking aliens. Our DNA was split, dude,
Yeah,
from
bro.
the fucking Anunnaki,
Missing
man.
link,
and
bro.
then boom, we're half monkey.
Do you remember you and
like,
me?
oh no.
Remember you and me in like 2000 hanging out at your fucking
Yeah, we
guest
were all
house
into it.
doing bong hits and watching documentaries?
Yeah, all that shit. Nobody watch. Maybe there's a lot of ties. Maybe there's a fucking 100-way tie, 1,000-way tie. But it's very hard to watch more space documentaries than me and you do. Come on, dude.
And real space
Dude.
documentaries too, not just alien
Dude,
ones.
we would just sit there and there's like 12 parts to like this BBC universe.
Do you remember that giant alien bong that I had? That
Yeah.
like yellow fish bong? Red Band has that thing.
Nobody was into space and aliens more than us.
No.
Dude. You had that fucking Roswell poster on the newspaper
Still have
clip.
it. Still have it. Still have it.
Dude, we were balls deep in that shit.
Let me tell you something, man. It got fired up when I watched that Bob Lazar documentary.
Yeah.
When Bob Lazar was saying things in the 1990s that became true in the 2000 teens, in terms of like Element 115, that they had this thing that they could propel these spaceships with, and they were saying there's no such thing. He's like, there's a thing. They have it. It's from another planet. He explained the propulsion system. He explained all this stuff. It sounds like such nonsense. But
I
then
believe Bob
now-
Lazar believes all that shit. I believe he
But you don't
does.
believe it's true?
I believe he's set up. They let him talk too much. Like, how are they going to let him do Netflix and they're
You
going
might
to come
be
on
right.
JRE?
might
They're
be
going to
right.
let him go on Larry King. And
Again,
he's-
Eddie Bravo with the 3D chest.
they want him to do that. It's if you're on Netflix, the deep state wants you on Netflix. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing to, I think he believes it, just like William Cooper. I think he figured out he got set up. They were trying to get him to believe that alien spacecraft
on
were
the
recovered
moon.
and all that. Because his job at the Office of Naval Intelligence, William Cooper, he wrote Behold a Pale Horse. He wrote that book. He's like probably considered the Helio Gracie of conspiracy theories, William Cooper. He was in charge of putting together the documents for these top secret Office of Naval Intelligence meetings, and he was reading them and going,
Wasn't he killed in a shootout?
They shot his ass, dude.
But he was killed in a shootout, like
In
with the
front of his
cops.
house. He was talking too much. He predicted Osama bin Laden before 9/11. I don't know if you know this. There's video on YouTube you can watch this. William Cooper said,
But
there's
he
going to
also
be an attack.
talked
He goes,
about space, about like bases on the moon, where aliens had bases on the moon.
he evolved. You got to follow the timeline.
Sort of like you're not
He
into
changed.
aliens anymore, and now
He's a big part of it. He's a big part of it.
of what?
He's a big part of me going, because he is the one who opened my eyes to the fact that he thought he was being set up he thought they're trying to get us to believe in aliens so they could fake an alien attack, so that'll usher in the New World Order. Because what happens if the aliens attack? We all unite.
She's in that new Maleficent movie. They did some crazy shit to her face, man. They turned her into some like dragon lady, some wizard lady or witch lady.
Yeah, there's a lot of Satanism in movies, man. They go dark with the. Do you trip out? I know. We have different opinions on like what is up
Satan?
there. Like
What?
the sky and space. But do you notice? Do you notice watching kids programming that they fucking bombard kids with space, right?
Sure.
Dude. They get hammered with it in every movie. There's space, there's aliens, there's space, there's aliens.
Well, not every movie, but a lot of movies, yeah.
It's crazy. It's
Right.
insane. They blast them with it.
Well, there's a lot above us. If you look up, see forever.
But it's important for kids, though. Totally.
It's important, period, man. I went to see Brian Cox's demonstration that he did. They do a show. They did it in downtown LA, and I was thinking I would love to get Eddie Bravo high and have him watch this like a fight companion. Is this CGI? Is this fake?
Yeah.
Why do you think it's fake? How much do you
What's
think is fake that you see in space?
Man, Werner von Braun was a Nazi, right?
Yes.
Okay. He was brought in from Operation Paperclip, right?
Right. We had Annie Jacobson on. Did you listen to that?
Yeah. Yeah.
She talked in depth about that.
I mean, that's all. Everyone agrees on that.
Yep.
Everyone agrees that he directed all 6 moon missions.
Yep.
Everyone agrees. Everyone agrees that him and Walt Disney were best friends.
Were they best friends?
Yep. They were best friends. They worked on space together. They were like, jumping to a lot of
But
conclusions.
today, in this day and age, you don't think anybody's like when SpaceX shoots rockets off into space, or when Amazon has a rocket company now, these guys are going to be able to launch satellites and even have consumer flights.
I just need proof, man.
What about
I
a
see a lot
consumer
of
flight?
deception. I see a
In
lot
the
of
future,
deception.
would you be willing?
Deception everywhere. So I'm like,
Okay.
when you're talking
you be
about that
willing to do
Foxcatcher
this?
movie. Hold on. You're talking about
Yes.
that Foxcatcher movie. You're like, you've said it a couple times on your podcast where you're like, once you saw that they left Gary Goodridge out, you were like, I can't trust this movie.
Right.
I can't. The whole movie's. I can't trust it. It may be real. It may not be real. But I need some proof.
I got you.
That's exactly how I feel about
Space.
No, not space. The government.
The government.
So
For
anything
everything.
coming from a
Anything coming
government
the government.
agency, whatever, it's a government agency, I look at it like Foxcatcher. You've lied enough where I'm like, I need some irrefutable evidence. Otherwise, why do I have to believe it? I just
get it.
assume it ain't real. I
get it, but SpaceX isn't the government. SpaceX
Yes, they
is a
are.
private company.
Yeah, no, they're subsidized by the government, man.
they're subsidized?
They do. They got like $4 billion from
So
the
they tell
government.
them to fake space?
No one's trusting NASA no more, so they're handing it over. Hey, let's do this side thing, and everyone's all into space now.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
I think it's when you saw that Tesla launch. You saw that
What are you talking about?
when
launched
he claimed to launch a Tesla.
Roadster
Yeah,
into
that Roadster.
space?
Did you see that footage?
The actual Tesla in space?
Yes.
Yes, I saw that.
And you have I've always known you as a dude who had a strong, vibrant bullshit meter. You've always been that guy. You're going to watch that evidence and go,
okay.
You can't just buy that, dude. You can't just buy that.
Well,
dude.
let me
It's
see
ridiculous.
it. Okay, let me see
the
it.
very first thing.
Jamie's gonna find it.
Hey, the very first
Don't
thing.
poison the water.
Okay.
If you want me to get an honest, honest reaction.
The first thing Elon Musk said in his press conference, the first thing he said is like, "Well, I think it's impossible and ridiculous, and if you can tell it's real because it looks so fake." That's the opposite of logic. There's logic and reason, and then there's the opposite of that.
No,
you
wait,
can
but-
tell it's real because it looks so fake is the opposite of logic.
Or that's just something he says because he's a fucking genius and he's taking a picture from space.
No, the reason
of a
why he
car
said
that's
that,
flying through the air.
No, the reason he said that was because all day when they did that, all day, all over the internet was like fake, 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 fake. So that he had to have a statement.
Please hold on.
He had
You're
to have a
killing me.
statement.
This is so ridiculous. Let me see it, Jamie.
Watch
Come on,
it.
let me see the video.
Which one?
The fucking
The
launch
Tesla
of
in
the
space.
fucking-
I know
The
it's
Tesla
a
in
4.5
space.
hour video. Which
is it?
No,
part
no,
of
just
it
get a
you want
short
me-
one. Just go to Tesla in
the
space.
Then you're gonna
Roadster
say
in
I
space.
picked the wrong one that got edited, so I'm trying to find the one that's from SpaceX
We could
so
just
that it's.
we could just abandon the subject. So fruitless.
You know what? It may be real. SpaceX
Why would
may
they
be
fake
real.
that?
Exactly. Why?
But
Who
you've
knows
seen
why?
them shoot the rockets off. I mean, literally,
It looks
people
when you look
watch
at it.
them. They
Anytime you
watch
see a rocket, rocket shoot, you see it go up and then you see it go down into the ocean.
No.
They launch rockets.
You
They're launching
don't.
rockets.
That's what it looks like because what you're seeing it go over the curve of the earth, Eddie. You're seeing it go over the ocean. You're seeing it go up and over. And so as it gets further away that you can't see it anymore, it looks like it's going
supposed
down.
to be going up,
But
not
it is going
parallel
down. It
to
is
the
going
ground.
up. It's not going parallel to the
Okay.
ground.
So
They're
all
shooting
right,
him
they are
into the
shooting
fucking
it. They are-
space,
they
and
are
the
shooting
planet
it.
is spinning.
Yeah. Okay. I understand that that's what you believe, but you got to understand why I believe what I believe because
that's what you see. But if you have
No.
someone explain it to you, will you still believe it? If you have a scientist explain to you how the physics work of the way
no
you
explanation.
see it,
No,
won't
there's
work?
no explanation. I need evidence.
You need evidence.
And then when you see evidence, when you see that Tesla that they launched, and you see how fake it looks so fake.
Okay, but just because something doesn't look real
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's fake.
But it doesn't mean it's real.
Are we truly alone in this universe? This is a question everyone has pondered at some point in their lives. With over 100 million galaxies and counting, it remains a valid question.
Why do some worlds have rings and others don't? Why no rings for Earth?
UFO sightings have become a bit of a norm, making many conclude that we are not alone.
U.S. government could not say for certain what is in this video, but it is something physically going by the window.
Sightings of odd aircraft and humanoid-looking creatures have continued to dot the news, although they are often quickly swept under the carpet. The secrecy and speed at which this news is quickly taken off circulation has led many to believe that the government may be hiding evidence of UFOs and, perhaps, the existence of extraterrestrial beings.
A small creature that appeared to be a gray alien led her towards a light-filled room, where she encountered another type of being.
Join us in this video to explore our top 10 UFO evidence the Pentagon is keeping from us. At the number 10 spot, we have the Westall incident. The Westall incident took place in 1966 and is reported to be the largest mass sighting of UFOs ever. This incident occurred when about 300 students and some staff of a school in Melbourne witnessed multiple UFOs silently flying through the air before landing on a nearby field. While much speculation existed about this incident over the years, one account stands out from the many eyewitness accounts. The account was from a science teacher at the school. He had been alerted about the UFO event by a hysterical student and had rushed outside to see what the commotion was about, and everything changed at that moment. Andrew, the science teacher, was a skeptic and had seen news of UFO sightings as mere hokum. But when he saw what he described as an object the size of a car, with a metal rod sticking up in the air, he experienced a quick change of heart. Andrew explained that he experienced the most amazing flying object he had ever seen. He explains that every time he attempted to get close to the object, It would slowly accelerate, then rapidly accelerate before moving away from them. This happened for about 20 minutes before the aircraft disappeared from view altogether. The headmaster had tried to prevent anyone from talking about the incident going as far as threatening severe punishments. But I'm sure you don't expect kids who were privileged to see an alien spaceship to keep quiet about it. Taking the number 9 spot is the Mount Rainier incident. This occurred when Kenneth Arnold was en route from Chehalis, Washington to Yakima, Washington on June 24, 1947. Kenneth had been traveling on a privately owned plane when he suddenly saw a bright light flash on one of his wings. He looked around and noticed a chain of 9 unidentified flying objects approaching Mount Rainier. He explained that he could see their outline quite plainly against the snow as he approached the mountain. Kenneth further explained that he could see them fly very close to the mountaintops directly south to southeast down the hogs. He said they flew in a long chain-like line as if they were linked.
Kenneth Arnold's original description was that these objects were reflecting the sunlight.
He stated further that the flying objects were approximately 20 to 25 miles away, give or take, and he could not see a tail on them. Kenneth had watched the chain of saucer-like objects fly for about 3 minutes, swerving in and out of high mountain peaks. He described them as flat, akin to a pie pan, and so shiny they reflected the sun like a mirror. Kenneth's account, however, was met with ridicule, which made him quite resentful. Even then, he stuck to his guns because, according to him, he knew what he saw. At number 8, we have the Chicago UFO.
Tower, this is Dave.
Hey, Dave, it's Sid from the United Tower.
Hey, Sid.
Hey, did you see a flying disc out by C-17?
Don't even start, Sue. You're seeing flying discs.
The Chicago UFO sighting happened on November 7, 2006. It was at the O'Hare International Airport in Chicago, and Flight 446 was getting ready to head to North Carolina when a United Airlines employee, who happened to be on the tarmac, noticed a dark gray metallic aircraft hovering over one of the gates. He must have raised the alarm because about 11 other employees and a few other people who were not airport staff admitted to seeing this flying saucer minutes before it left. The eyewitnesses said the sighting was about 4:15 p.m., and the aircraft hovered over the gate for about 5 minutes before it shot upwards and into the sky. One begins to wonder how the flying disc managed to hide from the eagle-eyed radar of the airport control room. The Federal Aviation Administration just called it a weather phenomenon and refused to investigate the story even though there were about 15 eyewitnesses whose accounts perfectly aligned. At number 7, we have the Big Flap. Back in 1952, there was a mass hysteria about flying saucers. There had been a significant rise in UFO sightings and a couple of alien abductions flying around, so everyone was on their toes and had their guard up. Washington, D.C. was notorious for these rumors, and the Big Flap was one of the biggest stories. There were so many reports of unidentified flying objects making the rounds that a special intelligence unit of the Air Force had to be deployed to check out what was happening in Washington's airspace. What got tongues wagging was that when radar operators at National watched the objects that flew past the White House and Capitol building, 2 F-94 jets were sent out to check out what these objects were. When the jets got close to the mysterious objects showing on their radar, the objects would simply vanish. The lack of concrete evidence to show that these were indeed regular aircraft was one of the things that fanned the flames of local UFO rumors. It also fueled the conspiracy that the government was hiding the evidence proving the existence of extraterrestrial life. Taking the number 6 spot is the event tagged The Disappearance. In this story, we will relive how Australian pilot Frederick Valentich disappeared without a trace under suspicious circumstances. On October 21, 1978, Frederick was part of a training flight. During the flight, Frederick had radioed the Melbourne Air Traffic Control to let them know he was accompanied by an aircraft about 1,000 feet above him and was also having problems with his engine. The Air Traffic Control had responded that there was no aircraft with him, at least none they could detect. Frederick radioed back to the control room, explaining that he was indeed being followed and could see a large aircraft above him with 4 bright landing lights. He explained that his initial thought was that a fellow pilot had been playing tricks on him, but training flight was a terrible time to pull pranks on any pilot. He further reported that the mysterious aircraft was orbiting him now and had a green light. When air traffic control attempted to get more details from him by asking what kind of aircraft it was, Frederick responded that it was not exactly an aircraft, and as soon as he said those words, the transmission got interrupted by a scraping metallic sound and poof! All contact with the control tower and Frederick's aircraft was lost. Painstaking sea and air searches were carried out to find Frederick and his missing aircraft because not only was the transmission lost, but he was also not seen or heard from again. All measures taken to find the lone pilot proved abortive. To this day, no one knows where pilot Frederick is or could be. Numerous theories have been raised to dissociate Frederick's disappearance from UFOs, but they were all sufficiently debunked because they had no physical evidence to back them up. Frederick's disappearance was widely attributed to a UFO not only because he disappeared without a trace, but there were many other reports of UFO sightings that night in the same region where he disappeared with his aircraft. This, of course, leaves more questions than answers. But hey, we all love a good mystery. At number 5, we have the Shag Harbor incident. The Shag Harbor incident is sometimes referred to as Canada's Roswell. On October 4th, 1967, an unknown object crashed into the water near Shag Harbor, a tiny town in Nova Scotia. There were at least 11 eyewitnesses to this very incident. The eyewitnesses mentioned watching the object hurtling from the sky and crashing into the water. Some said that, as the object fell, they heard a whistling sound accompanying it, followed by a loud bang when the crash occurred. The eyewitnesses were not all at the same place and had all been engaged in different activities at that time. A couple who claimed to have witnessed the incident had just been having a quiet time sitting on their front porch. But the most compelling account of the incident came from 2 flight pilots and a ship captain. On Air Canada's Flight 305, First Officer Robert Ralph pointed out to Captain Pereire Charbonneau that something strange was on the plane's left side. They reported an object tracking along on a parallel course a few miles away, and described the flying object as a brilliantly lit rectangular object with a string of smaller lights trailing the object. Shortly after noticing the aircraft, a large but silent explosion went off near the unknown flying object, and about 2 minutes later, a second explosion. The ship captain Leo Howard's account was almost the same. He recounted seeing 4 blips on his Deca radar. Shortly after, he saw 4 bright objects sitting in a rectangular formation about 28 kilometers from the window of his vessel. Strangely, he wasn't the only one who witnessed this view. About 20 fishermen saw the same thing and called the RCMP to report the floating object they saw. Investigations were carried out, and even with the Canadian Air Force involved, nothing was ever found or recovered, and all private and commercial vehicles were said to be fully accounted for. If that does not get your eyes batting with suspicion, I wonder what would. Taking the number 4 position on our list is the Valençol incident. This event occurred in France. A French farmer called Maurice Masse made the UFO sighting. The event took place in July 1965. One day, just before work, Maurice was outside smoking a cigarette. Then he witnessed an object coming out of the sky and landing on his lavender field, about 200 feet from where he was standing. Initially, Maurice was incensed that someone had landed on his field, creating a big patch of ruined flowers. He assumed it was a helicopter that had landed among his flowers unauthorized. As Maurice approached the air vehicle, most likely to tell off the pilot, he quickly realized that no helicopter landed on his field. Upon close inspection, what he saw was an oval-shaped structure standing on 4 legs. As if that was not frightening enough, at the front of the strange-looking aircraft stood 2 figures about 4 feet tall. Maurice explained that he could not make out the language the 2 figures communicated in, as it sounded like grumbling. He gave a brief description of these creatures and explained that one of them took out a device that looked suspiciously like a pencil and pointed it at him. The result of that singular action left Maurice, the farmer, frozen in his tracks. He mentioned that it was like his being was frozen in time. After paralyzing Maurice, the creatures got into their flying saucer and hightailed it out of Maurice's lavender farm. 20 minutes after Maurice was frozen, he felt his body unfreeze and could move around again. While the story sounds far-fetched, There was some physical evidence left behind. The aircraft left a mark. There was a hole in the ground where it had landed and much moisture left over. The ground also hardened and became almost like concrete, and the flowers on that path began to die off. Soil analyses showed more calcium deposits on that spot than elsewhere on the field. All evidence points towards Maurice the farmer being honest with his story. Now we have reached the big three. Taking the number 3 spot, we have Project Blue sighting. Lieutenant Colonel Richard French was once tasked with being an investigator for Project Blue Book, the name used to describe a study of UFOs conducted by the United States Air Force from March 1952 until December 17, 1969, when the project was terminated. While his job was meant to investigate and essentially debunk UFO rumors and conspiracy theories, he took to Congress to share his stand-up and give his account of a personal experience of a UFO sighting he had never really been able to explain away. The moment had stuck with him through the years. This is the story. When he was in Newfoundland in 1952, investigating reports of a UFO that had crashed across the coast of St. John's, as he arrived at the scene, about 100 people stood at the shore, gazing into the water. He followed their gaze and found the biggest shock of his life. He recalled the water was quite clear, and just beneath it, you could see 2 circular crafts, each approximately 18 feet in diameter. Colonel Richard reported that both crafts were floating just below the water's surface and no more than 20 feet from the shore. As if they were not enough of a shock, he recounted that there were 2 beings with the crafts. He said he couldn't tell what the beings were because they were on the bottom side of the crafts. But he claimed to have watched on as they worked on the crafts until one of them raised out of the water and disappeared, but not before accelerating to speeds of up to 2,500 to 3,000 miles per hour. This account is from a man deployed to shut down rumors of UFO sightings. This does change the trajectory of almost, well, everything. Taking the number 2 spot on the list of top-secret UFO sightings is the Air Force disappearance, which occurred right on a military base. On November 23, 1953, near the Canadian-U.S. border, the United States Air Defense Command noticed a blip on their radar where there shouldn't have been one. This showed that there was something that looked like an unidentifiable object that was in restricted airspace over Lake Superior. To investigate this anomaly, an F-89C Scorpion was sent out. In the aircraft were 2 crew members. First Lieutenant Felix Monclaw had piloted the aircraft while Second Lieutenant Robert Wilson keenly observed the radar. Once the pair became airborne, they began to experience difficulty tracking the object as its course changed constantly. This difficulty led to ground control helping the flyers direct their aircraft. The Scorpion jet pursued the unidentified object for about 30 minutes. As it closed in on the object at 500 miles per hour, the 2 blips on the radar, one being the UFO and the other the Scorpion jet sent to investigate the UFO, suddenly converged into one. And the strangest thing happened at that point. The Scorpion F-89C suddenly vanished from ground control's radar. The unidentified flying object veered off a moment after that and vanished into thin air. The first and second lieutenants piloting the F-89C Scorpion jet vanished with their aircraft and were never seen or heard from again, even to this day. No wreckage was ever found that could have even suggested an accident, despite the deep search to find the men and their aircraft. Over the years, the story has been twisted slightly, but one question remains. What became of First Lieutenant Felix Monclaw and his partner, Second Lieutenant Robert Wilson? At number 1, we have, drumroll please, Project Grudge, Report 13 Saga. The Project Grudge Report 13 is easily one of the most terrifying stories about alien and UFO sightings. This is no small feat, as any story about extraterrestrial and UFO sightings has enough elements to give anyone the heebie-jeebies. The story starts in March of 1996, when Sergeant Jonathan P. Lovett had been assisting Major William Cunningham in the White Sands missile testing grounds near Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. They had gone out searching for debris from a recent rocket launch test. Suddenly, Major Cunningham heard a piercing scream. Major Cunningham's first thought had been that a venomous snake had bitten Sergeant Lovett. Major Cunningham left what he had been searching for to help Sergeant Lovett. Upon approaching the direction where the scream had come from, Major Cunningham allegedly saw something he had never expected to see in his life. The Major recounts getting to the scene to find long, serpentine arms dragging Sergeant Lovett to who knows where. The serpentine arms were wrapped around Sergeant Lovett's legs as they dragged him towards a disc-like structure, hovering in the air about 15 feet away from where Williams stood. Major Williams stood frozen in speechless horror as he watched the serpentine arms drag his partner to the floating craft and fly away into the sky. When Major Williams finally got his wits about him, he hurriedly radioed for help, after which he was taken to the hospital for treatment and observation. Search teams were deployed to find Sergeant Lovett and patrol the area to ensure nothing like that ever happened again. 3 days later, Sergeant Lovett's body was found where he had been taken away. The autopsy performed on his body only raised more questions than answers, because the body had come back badly damaged. As expected, an investigation was conducted to get to the root of the matter. This investigation is said to have been detailed in a 600-page report labeled Project Grudge Report 13. The issue, however, is that no official information on this report exists, and the U.S. government has vehemently denied the existence of any such report. Reports 1 to 12 and 14 have been declassified, but nothing about Report 13 can still be seen. You can never see or hear it all regarding UFO sightings. From stories of abduction to strange objects flying in the night skies, the signs of extraterrestrial life seem real enough to be worthy of concern. Have you ever experienced any strange sightings? What was it like for you? If you have no experience, do you think these stories are phony? Thank you for watching another episode of Voyager. While you are still here, please click the video on your screen to watch more mind-blowing videos like this one.